What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome again back to the BB-Scho. As always, I'm your host, Beebs. I'm here with my favorite co-host, Chen. How you doing today? NBA Tuesday, some bonus content.
Yeah, it's definitely bonus content for the people, bonus content for us as fans. Ultimately, now this is like the month for sports as a overall sports fan. Yeah, football, baseball, basketball, even the World Cup's coming up in November. Everything's going on. So it's an exciting time. Definitely excited to watch the matchups tonight. The first one we got is 76ers Celtics. I'm curious how the Celtics look. I don't know off the top of my head who their coach is. I just know it's not Ime Udoka. and you
I
know,
actually, I actually, I can't remember his name. I looked it up because I thought about maybe picking him for Coach of the Year,
right.
but I'll spoil. I didn't end up taking him, but I looked it up because I was like, man, if they win like 50 games still and go to the East Finals or something like that, just riding off Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, he could
Yeah,
very easily win Coach of the Year if nobody else does anything crazy, just because
right.
of the situation. But yeah, we'll get into it. I don't really think that's going to happen. So
Yeah, realistically, I mean, and even just based off last season's just the way it went is the Celtics were honestly in trouble, and then early in the season, obviously, like it just once it hit around like a little bit before the All Star break, it felt like they got things going. Udoka learned how to use the roster, and I do have some question marks then because this is that was the Celtics are good every year, but that was last year was the year they made it to the finals due to a coaching change, really. And as good as the coach as Brad Stevens even is, he wasn't able to make the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown thing work, partially due to them being very similar players. I think everyone can agree on that in terms of build, position, scoring ability. Like they're very similar players. It's just, finding the right balance so that both those guys can be as efficient as possible. We saw the ceiling of this team last year, but there's definitely some question marks. And again, part of it was a little fluky. Obviously, the Bucks didn't have Chris Middleton. That was a major aspect. And if that game goes 7 games without Middleton and Holiday's taking 20, 30 shots, I got to assume that if Middleton was healthy, it would have been a very different story in the NFC. Still in football mode. Eastern Conference. And Al Horford, again, was a big part of their team. And I think he's like 37 or 38. And we've seen with guys like Paul and Marc Gasol come to mind right away. Once you kind of just hit a cliff in the NBA. Like there really is no graceful fall.
well,
Once you see
you're
somebody block
forgetting
their
Robert Williams is out to start the year too.
right. So initially, I don't think they're going to be as impressive to open the season as people are probably have their expectation for.
Sounds
And
like sounds like this podcast is about to turn into a Celtics hate train because I'm fully
oh,
ready to just like write him off. I think that Ime Udoka, sorry, um, was incredibly responsible for their success last year. I think that he was essential to it. Like you said, they got hot January right before the All Star break, rode that all the way to June. Props to him, right? To go beat Giannis in 7, go through a stronger than it's been in the past Eastern Conference with very young stars still on. I mean, I think Tatum's 23, right? 20, maybe 24 now. Like Brown's
yeah,
25, 24. Very still young core. They kind of they overachieved for their age, right? They got there a year early, as people like to say with teams like this. And I think that that's true, and I give a huge responsibility to that to Ime Udoka. Now he's gone for the year. And I'm just not going to be shocked if this just sets them back 3 or 4 years. Even when he comes back in
mhm,
24, I just am not going to be shocked if this year that locker room has a history of just blowing up. And I know Kyrie, you can talk about that stuff, Kyrie, but it just this hasn't worked with anybody other than Ime Udoka. And barring unforeseen circumstances, I'm going to go on the limb and I'm just going to say I don't see it being that successful this year. They're not getting past they're definitely not getting back to where they were last year. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, I think a finals run is, considering what went well for them and happened towards the end of the year last year. I think regardless if they had their entire unit healthy and Udoka, I still think that's a tough ask for them to get back to the finals, especially the way the East looks this year. I mean, as talented as it was, DeJounte Murray came over and is on the Hawks. Donovan Mitchell came over. Like, the East definitely got significantly better. And part of that we're going to see tonight is the Sixers. Tyrese Maxey has been improving since he's been drafted. Having him next to Harden, I think Harden, if he's fully committed and is into this team, like, it doesn't really, we all know how much of a prima donna is, but like, if the Sixers start off hot and do well, Harden's going to be fine. But it's just a matter of, because of the player he thinks he is, if they start off bad, we may not see him on the roster by the trade deadline. That's just the way he operates. So I think at the end of the day, Sixers, in terms of the game tonight, I expect them to win, especially with no Robert Williams. I would expect Joel Embiid to just dominate, come out and show why.
Yeah, and just a heads up, I'm pretty sure the Celtics are favored.
Yeah, I believe they probably are. But personally, in my head, I wouldn't favor them. I think the Sixers, even right now, have a better roster. Like that, their starting five, they got essentially everything they need.
Well, they have the best. They have the best regular season player in the history of the NBA, running their point. You know,
when he's committed. You know, in terms of like the past season or two, like, he's still a phenomenal player, but people are not like it's the Rockets Harden we've seen in years past. That was by far like best regular season scorer we've probably seen in a while. Ian Phil's manipulating the fouling, a little bit. I mean,
I think we don't need to go down that road, but
yeah,
it doesn't take away from the points he scored.
It doesn't take it away, but like when like 14 of the 36 were from the line, at a certain point, you got to take that. I'm saying you got to take it in consideration.
Yeah, I mean, but they changed the rules.
Not saying he's a bad player. I just think he's one of those guys there's people who are criminally underrated, and I'd argue to say that James Harden is criminally overrated in his term. He gets a lot of his numbers due to heavy volume and not necessarily his actual ability as a basketball player. That's 2 cents on it, but either way.
We already bashed on the Celtics enough. I'm not going to bash on James Harden because I'd love to, but I'll refrain.
I have to, especially at the beginning of the season. I'm going to let people know right away. Some people I just either don't like, which I'm not going to come out and say, because, I mean, James Harden's still a big guy. If you saw me on the street, I'd probably get clobbered. But I'm just saying, he's probably just a guy that's I'm not as hopeful for, as we'll put it lightly.
It's fair. I'll ask you. Let me ask. I got a question for you then. Where is we kind of discussed the Celtics, not very high on them this year. Where's the Sixers ceiling here? Where do you see? I mean, could they make a finals run here? You think they could get through Milwaukee?
Ceiling, that's a ceiling that they could hit. Again, getting past the Bucks.
Could they win against whoever comes out of the West?
I could say so, in the sense that it really does depend who comes out of the West. Even like a Nuggets, that would be interesting. I think Warriors, how do they guard Embiid? I think you could even say that for like the Mavericks. Like, there's just the West is like pretty heavy guard orientated. I would say,
except for Jokic.
We're talking ceiling. That's the Sixers ceiling right there. Like the
championship.
There's no question. Yeah, if they play their full ability, and they got Harden, Embiid, Kobe Shaq-esque duo going.
Where's if the ceiling is a championship, where's the floor?
The floor would be a first round exit. I think if they don't make playoffs, somebody's got to get moved at the trade deadline, like a big piece. I think like a severe injury had to fall. I just don't look at this roster and see how they're not at least above 500. That's got to be my floor. Even in an East that is tougher, I mean, we saw the Sixers, they're still able to win last year, some games without Embiid. Like, people sleep a lot on Tobias Harris. They were able to bring in PJ Tucker. That's a very valuable role player. The reason he's still playing in the NBA at 38. He's probably one of the better 3-and-D guys you can get. And he's played with Harden before. They even got in some other bench guys like DeAnthony Melton, who was really good at the Grizzlies last year. It's a name that people aren't going to really know, but if he gets more time with the Sixers and whatnot this year, I think you'll understand he's a very good defensive guard and scorer as well. But ultimately, they like pieces wise, the way they stack up in the East, they to me right now are more threatening than the Celtics.
I would
That's
agree.
depends on the opinion. And I know the Celtics got Malcolm Brogdon, but like that's not a crazy. That doesn't do. It makes them more efficient as a team, but all it really is like a bigger, less of a 3-point threat Peyton Pritchard. Like he's solid as it comes, and it's an improvement. But like it's not something that is like screams to me they're going to get better. And they had a lot of veterans, so I think there's just going to be some natural decline there.
I have to agree. The Celtics have a lot of bad. They have a lot of reasons to be down on them right now. So it's not like I'm going on a limb and saying, "Oh, they got a bad coach." Or they have a bad coaching situation. They're going to be worse this year, right? Like it's the bad coaching situation on top of Robert Williams being out, on top of aging vets who are a core, on top of a system that has. I think the coaching situation is really bad. It's never worked under anybody else. So unless it clicked, I mean, they are all bought in even without Udoka. I don't know. We're
Yeah,
going in circles, but I agree. I would not be shocked if we get to May and it's Bucks and Sixers fighting for that spot. Barring
fair.
injury, I'm very high on the Sixers this year. The other game tonight is going to be Lakers and Warriors, two teams on very opposite sides of the spectrum, in my opinion, in the Western Conference.
Mm.
We'll start with the Warriors. I think the ceiling is pretty clear here, but do you have any
The only question
contentions,
mark
disagreements?
it's really got to be Draymond Green, Jordan Poole. How's that really going to affect? We saw Draymond's effect on KD. Granted, that team still was fine because it was Kevin Durant, but like Jordan Poole just got paid, Andrew Wiggins just got paid. Draymond did not. I think end of the day there could be inside quarrel in that locker room. And I just in terms of we've seen the ceiling, it's the Warriors. They're very well coached. I don't think there's for them to miss playoffs really isn't in the question. It'd
No,
have to be like a significant injury.
the Warriors right now somehow like literally define the term championship or bust.
Pretty much. That's all that because you're in your kind of last window here with Steph and Clay. I mean, it's going to be for a longer time than people realize. Just
yeah, I don't think that window is anywhere close to closing. You're forgetting
4 or 5 years probably for sure.
Yeah, with Steph and Clay. What about Kuminga and all these other 20-year-old guys that they have in Poole and is it Moody?
Yeah, Moses.
Yeah,
Moody,
and Moody coming up behind them. I've never seen. It's like they literally have a in-house minor league team that they're just like, oh yeah, you guys don't play any minutes. This was at least last year. You're barely going to play any minutes unless we're blowing a team out, but you're really good, and we're going to develop you, and you're going to feed it. It's like they're becoming the NBA's Patriots. It feels like.
That's a very good comparison, and
in a league
really
that's dominated by star power, free agency, and big name trades, it's standing out as by far the most successful model. And I wouldn't be shocked if in 10 years it's copycatted. People are trying to do the same thing because it works better.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. There's not a lot I can really add in terms we know who the Warriors are, and it's really just going to take some unexpected decline for them to not be at a high level. And like you mentioned, this is the model of how a West Coast free agent attraction team with already, budding stars, young talent should run. The Lakers, there was a point where they had LeBron and a bunch of young, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma,
Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma,
Julius Randle, all the hate he gets was there.
D'Angelo
Zubac,
Russell.
D'Lo, exactly. There was so many assets they just kind of flubbed away to just get as much star power as possible. And the Bucks, are a prime example. The Suns, if you can build off of homegrown stars, it is definitely way more club friendly, way more team like roster friendly, future friendly. Everything just works perfectly. And if you manage it the way the Warriors did, this is the end result. They got a team like I could guarantee you if their bench their starting five bench could be better than like the Jazz lineup this year. Like that's ridiculous
Yeah.
considering their bench can probably compete with the bottom, five NBA teams. That's just absurd. And because those guys are all 20, 21, 22. But to just kind of trail back to the Lakers, they are in a spot where we say it's, championship or bust for the Warriors. It's still that expectation for the Lakers. As bad as they were last year, they,
Whoa.
they don't have any other options right now. They
I
don't.
I I
They
Are
they
you
have
saying? Hold on. Are you saying that their LeBron is in championship or bust mode at this point in his career, or are you saying that you actually think that they're able to contend for a championship?
I think they'll be more competitive than a lot of people are giving them credit for it already. In the sense that already Darvin Ham is entertaining the idea and probably should do something. Because listen, Darvin Ham is a great coach. He was an assistant behind Coach Bud for a while. He's been in the league for a while. When he took over at times, like he's gonna do fine with his team in the regular season. Playoff time, health, and just obvious concerns with the lack of floor spacing is an issue. But we've seen it time and time again. Like when LeBron is, you know, fully healthy, like we'll say 70 of 82 games. If Anthony Davis, and this is a big if, because it really hasn't happened since his New Orleans days, but let's say like the trajectory is he finally plays a full season. I'm really curious as to what that team looks like. Like I'm genuinely wondering. That's probably like because LeBron, as much as people like to knock on him and whatnot, still averages like 25, 7,
Wait,
and 7.
where do you rank Anthony Davis in terms of big men in the league right now?
Right now, in terms of big men, he's off the top of my head, I'm thinking probably around 4 or 5. That's
You have
again,
Jokic above him.
yes.
Yeah.
Jokic, I would have Giannis and Embiid. Um, you could
So
make
okay,
those
so we're
players
relatively on the same page. We don't need to go like down the line, but I guess
down.
I just don't see it for the Lakers. I don't. I felt like last year it was an implosion. You have all these young guys basically turning their back on LeBron, saying this guy just sits here and yells at us. Like makes trades. The GM is a fail. Like this doesn't work. I don't know what they've acquired that's gonna like realistically be such a drastic change. Yes, if Anthony Davis is on the floor, they're gonna win more games. I don't think that makes them win more playoff games though. I don't think they're a better team than. I mean, could they sneak into the playoffs? Yeah, but I don't think that they're a better team than the Clippers. I don't think they're a better team than the Warriors or the Nuggets or the Suns. And now that's half of the top of the Western Conference right there. And those are like shoe-ins. Like if you disagree with that, you look weird. You look like a bronze stan at that point. If you disagree, if you think the Lakers roster looks better than these teams. So
The
and
Suns,
look,
I could debate with. I could debate with the Suns in the aspect of just the way their offseason played out, how badly they lost last year. Chris Paul already showed some decline. I don't think that Suns roster got any better. And I'm
I
saying I
would
think Lakers roster definitely did get better. People are sleeping on not only the fact that they could probably realistically make another move to get a piece, even if it's not like super great. if they have everybody healthy, LeBron and AD is already like, that's nice. Having Patrick Beverly, all right. If you could find a young, guy like a shooter or something, they're still looking for that, would be good. I don't think
Yeah.
Westbrook can play any bad or worse than he did last year, but I still think having him off the bench, that makes their bench unit better. It might play better for the team overall. But like it's just a matter of like LeBron and Anthony Davis. Like we saw this team win a championship, not like what 2 or 3 years ago. Like I know it was the bubble ring and whatnot, but they were there and they were both healthy. And as bad as last year looked, I'm in that boat of like you don't really want to bet against LeBron, no matter how many people have bad personal opinions or crazy good opinions on him. At the end of the day, you have to look at him as one of the greats of this game. Putting it past him when the guy was putting 50 on the Warriors last year, granted it was the regular season, but like if he's on and like they get hot, I'm not putting anything by them. I think having Darvin Ham and the coaching he'll implement, they'll probably be a 50 win plus team this year. And I know that might again be high expectation for people, but I think they had like 37 or 38 wins last year. And the
Wow.
Bronx played like
We're not
50.
even, dude. We're not even in the hot takes segment.
You can say that all you want, but like, listen,
50 wins.
AD did not play, and LeBron was hampered most of the year, and they got 38 games.
Who did they add besides
They
Patrick Beverly that is significant here?
It's literally the idea that you didn't have Anthony Davis and like a guy who we just both universally agreed is top 5 big in the league, and is now going to be playing next to LeBron.
I'm just under the impression I just don't see him staying healthy again. Like I just don't.
That's fine, but if he's healthy, you're almost looking at like they got like LeBron and like Christian Wood or like Bobby Portis. It's like no, like this is Anthony Davis, man. Like
no,
if
I don't
those two guys
disagree.
are on the floor for 70 to 82 games, I think that's 50 plus wins.
So you think that they could come out of the West, staying healthy? You think that the Lakers are capable of winning a championship this year?
They're not. I have them up there, but like it would take a insane conference final like appearance because
you don't think they're beating the Warriors?
I don't think they're beating the Warriors, and I don't think they beat the Nuggets either.
I would agree with both of those.
I don't think those two. The Nuggets looked bad because they literally didn't have like
their team
and Jamal Murray like,
the whole year, yeah, and they still were like a 6 seed.
Right, and yeah, they still got a 6 seed. Now they get those guys back, and we saw them again. They almost were the guys that made it to that finals in the bubble. So, yeah, I just have to say on like that front, I don't think like in my opinion, I don't think the Lakers are making a finals run this year. But it's also like I think they're going to do damage in the playoffs, and this might even be more of a conversation once the All-Star break rolls around. They might have made a trade or two, and we see how the team actually looks. But that's just my outlook so far. And yeah, I mean, we'll see right away tonight. Honestly, like if Anthony Davis is, we'll see how he moves around, stuff like that. If he's still got it. But in the limited, again, it's preseason. In the limited action he did get though, he looked good to me. He looked like he was still the same old self.
We'll see. We can transition that now into our playoff picks. So I have seeded out the West and the East, and I have my finals predictions. I guess we could do this dramatically. We could start. Let's start with the West, I guess, and I'll go 8. You go 8. I'm assuming yours is seeded out as well.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll start with the 8 seed, and we'll just work our way up. How about that?
Yeah. No, it sounds good.
So I'll go first. My 8 seed in the West is the Trailblazers.
Nish, yeah, I didn't have them. I didn't have them making it all.
This gets weird too with these bottom teams with the play-in and stuff. Like I'm basically saying that if the Blazers are good enough to get to the play-in, Dame's back, and in the play-in, I'm taking Damian Lillard to will them to the playoffs.
That's fair. I think the Timberwolves getting Rudy Gobert, they already were in playoffs. I mean, they're going to get – the fact that they're at 8, I think how deep this West is. That's why I was like, Trailblazers, if they get the play-in, they're going to be like 10. And I don't think they're going to beat my other playing team at 7.
Who's your 7? The Lakers? The Suns?
And you're going to be like, really? But as you hear the rest of the standings, it's not only very possible, it's actually like it's crazy possible.
Why? Okay, no, we need some. All right,
so,
you know what? We'll just
maybe should I just read off mine and then we'll go yours.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that will give a gauge.
We need some explanation here
because Timberwolves, Suns, right? That's the 2 like get in teams. At number 6 would be the Grizzlies, and we would say that they are a better regular season team than the Suns. And number 5, I had the Clippers because they got John Wall along with a healthy Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, like Norman Powell, Reggie Jackson. That team is loaded depth-wise. So they're at 5. Mavericks are at 4. Yeah, that they made it to the conference finals. Nothing really needs to be said about that. Lakers at 3 because, again, I have very high expectations for them. And I had the Nuggets at 2, Warriors up.
That's all right. Here's my points of contention.
It might have just really made everything bad, or I guess if we have such varying opinions on the Lakers, because that kind of knocked a lot of teams out of the spot for me. But even then, I still have the Suns at 6.
I think the Suns are okay. So I will. Here's the disclaimer on predicting the seeding in the NBA playoffs: is the difference between the 1 seed and the 5 is like 2 games sometimes. Or 3 games, right? That's you're really just predicting like who's going to be in your A tier of like 3 to 4 teams, who's going to be in the play-in, and who's going to be a solid team and be in those middle seeds, right? So, yeah, we have grossly different opinions on the Los Angeles Lakers. It's not even close. They're not even in my play-in discussion. I think they're going to be bottom of the league.
Yeah, and that's just I don't see that either. They almost didn't play last year.
I did concede. I did concede. If Anthony Davis is healthy, it's a conversation. I just don't think he will be.
That's all right.
So I'll run down mine then. So at the 8, I said Blazers because I explained Dame. At 7, I have the Pelicans.
Yeah. Okay.
Young talent, Zion's back. They're kind of everybody's sleeper team, and at that point, they're not really a sleeper team anymore. I have to agree with that. There's a lot of hype around them right now, but I think some of it's valid. I mean, you add CJ McCollum to the mix to a team that was decent, and now they get Zion back. It could be really good, at least good enough to get a 7 seed. 6 seed, I have the Mavericks. This is just because I just don't – I don't know if they got much better. This to me is just kind of like I could see them at 4, like you had them. I don't see them being 1 or 2, but I just don't see them winning 55 games. I see them winning 45 to 50-ish, 51-ish, right? Like just because they don't. It's just the Lucas show still, and he's an awesome player. I love watching him, but like. One guy's not enough in today's league, and that's just the way they roll. 5, I have the Clippers. So give or take, I think we had them in the exact same spot. Actually, I think you had the Clippers at 5, right?
I did.
Yeah. So agree with you there.
I 1 and 2 are going to be, but I'm curious as to 3 and 4 because I feel like
you're about to be in for a surprise here. And I'll explain. Okay. 4, I have the Warriors. This is based off of we'll get to it. The Warriors are my finals pick. The Warriors are my finals pick, but we're talking about the NBA regular season here. Okay.
I think they were the 1st seed last year, were they not?
They were, but they're coming off championship layover. What incentive do they have to go chase the number 1 seed? I just think they're going to be a couple games off. I'm going to put them at 4. Okay. I just think they're going to be a couple games off.
4?
Yeah.
4.
Yeah. Because I have the Nuggets at 3, give or take. I think the Nuggets are a better regular season team. We discussed. I think you had them at 3 too. so that's fair. Number 2, you're gonna hate me for this. This is a copycat take, okay? So I'm gonna piggyback this. I heard this on another podcast. I'm just gonna disclaimer. Shout out to this take because I actually wholeheartedly agree with it. Let me ask you something, okay? Of all the teams in the West, what team has the most to prove this year?
The Lakers.
Yeah.
And then probably the Clippers.
Okay.
You could argue the Mavericks need to get it done.
What team would be most incentivized to chase a number 1 or number 2 seed in the playoffs and boast that?
Grizzlies, maybe?
No. Well, yes, but no. The Timberwolves.
At 2.
I think that the Timberwolves, when compared to these other teams that are real championship contenders, I think the Timberwolves are going to be the story of the season where they're going to win a bunch of games and they're going to be frauds in the playoffs. Well, maybe not frauds, but they're not going to make it out of the West under any circumstance. But I think they're going to be an incredible regular season team. They have really good interior defense. They have Anthony Edwards. I think he's going to continue to take a step forward. I really like their roster. I really like their young core. You added the best defender in the league, arguably. I think that the Timberwolves, this is the same team that celebrated like they won the Super Bowl when they won a play-in game. I think that they have incentive to go grab a 2 seed and be like, or 1 seed and be like, yeah, we're the best team in the West, and then get 5 game, losing 5 to the Warriors or something stupid.
Okay, so here's my only issue with this take, and you've got to explain to me what's going on. That means you're 1 spot with neither. I would agree with, considering I had these teams at 6 and 7. One of them is in their 1 spot, which is the Suns or Grizzlies, and one is not even in the playoff picture. So please enlighten me, because
I think that the Grizzlies. This is one of my hot takes. I think the Grizzlies lose in the play-in.
That's insanity, because they were winning like 20. They were like 20-10 without Ja.
I think they're better. I think last year they were a better team without Ja. That's statistically true. I think that that team on paper is not as good as they performed. I think they overperformed without Ja, and I think that they come back to reality a little bit here, and they miss the playoffs.
I'm sad to disagree. I just like, when I look at,
look, it's fair. I totally recognize it's a very hot take.
There's no way that the Trailblazers are like, yeah, I'm confident this team gets some playoffs, and you're so confident the Grizzlies won't.
I said the Grizzlies would lose in the play-in to the Trailblazers.
That's insane to me. Like just the fact, like, Jaren Jackson is going to destroy in that game. Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks are way better wing help.
I understand it's a hot take.
Like it's not even in the ballpark. First, like the Trailblazers win the lottery. Oh man, that's almost criminal. And then the Suns are going to be at the 1. What did they do to get better? They're
Nothing.
only getting worse from age.
No, they're just a great regular season team who's good every year, and they're not going to go to the finals. My favorite finals picks out of the West are the Warriors and Nuggets. The Suns are going to do what they do. They're going to win close to 60 games because that's what they do in the regular season, and then they're going to fall off in the playoffs. But like I said, I think you're misunderstanding some of my takes here. Is just because I put the T-Wolves at 2 does not mean I consider them to be a contender. Because you'll see this theme when I go to the East too. The regular season
at 2 and no Grizzlies is like saying you think the T-Wolves are far better than the Grizzlies, and like when I look at both rosters, like I can't even say that. Like
I can.
Like I like you could, at their full potential, the Timberwolves could be, but like they don't even have a player that's as proven as Ja is at this point. Like I think like you gotta look at it and look at like what they did in the regular season. Like I don't know. I want to make sure around halfway mark of this season we hold these takes accountable.
Look, I know it's a hot take. I know it's a hot take.
Like
Okay.
this needs to be like.
Maybe
And
we should have led with the hot takes before we did for our
no,
predictions.
I think honestly this is the hot take segment turned from predictions to just because I will take the fall if we halfway through the season the Lakers still look like crap.
Oh, I'll own up to it too.
I'll
Like,
be
don't
the
I'm
first
not
to
gonna
jump off the shit. I don't want to completely count them out as much as like how bad it was last
look.
year.
This is hey, this T Wolves take is coming from the guy who picked the Colts to go to the Super Bowl.
And I understand, but even like the Colts take is coming around. Like, and I at the time was even in like, yeah, at their full potential, all right.
You're not
But
okay, but like, let me really emphasize this: the NBA regular season is almost never actually indicative of who the best teams are.
yes and no. Like the Warriors were clearly the best team last year, and that they got it done.
Yeah, there are
The
exceptions,
Bucks
but
won their championship; they were
like
up there.
you can't tell me that the Timberwolves would not be like, oh, we're gonna go all in every like the Warriors 73 win season. That's the Timberwolves attitude because this is the best roster they probably ever had on paper in the history of their franchise, and they're gonna be in the playoffs. We both agree on that. And so I just think that like the difference of 8 games between the top of the playoffs and maybe the bottom, they're gonna like go balls out for it.
And I'm not denying that they're definitely gonna be like a lot better team than last year. It's
Because
just
The Warriors don't care if they have
like
to go to Minnesota for an
would be
extra
like the
game.
highest I feel comfortable putting them. I just like it. Just you gotta think like they play in the West, like them having a better record, like trying to keep pace with great regular season teams is interesting to me. But again, we will see kind of right away. Like at this team's ceiling, I think I would acknowledge it could be a legitimate 2 seed, like contender threat if Anthony Edwards turns into like a somewhat Jason Tatum level
That's
type
where that's where the take
performer.
is too. Okay,
Right.
that's
You got
we'll get
that,
into awards like
and Gobert, and then D'Lo's your fourth option. That's a crazy team if it all
where
pans out.
where was this team's weakness last year? Interior defense because Cat's soft. You just added the best interior defender in the league.
Right. So it's definitely there will be improvement for sure.
And Edwards is only going to get better.
Right. It's really just they got really the best ceiling, but they could disappoint.
But I think that they had one of the best offs, if not the best offseason in the league.
I'd have to double check that.
Like realistically, look, yeah, we could double check it, but like
the Cavs they gave up.
Cavs is fair. Cavs is fair. Cavs is fair.
You know,
I'll give you that.
Even the Hawks pickup, I think, is really slept down.
I would take the
transition to that. We should.
Yeah, we should get to the East, but I'll say this: I would take the T-Wolves offseason over the Cavs, or not the Cavs, the Hawks.
Okay, I was like, yeah, the Hawks. I think
I'll give you the Cavs. I'll give you the Cavs. They fleeced the Jazz for Donovan Mitchell.
They definitely will look bad.
But all right, let's go to the East here. All right, you're up. Your turn.
Yeah, because as much as I love the Cavs, they still only fall at 8 here. Do this sense. You gotta hear the rest of the East. You gotta hear the rest of the East.
Dude, this is oh my gosh. No.
I don't think they're better than the Bulls. You can maybe make this case that maybe they do. But
you don't think the Cavs are better than the Bulls?
DeRozan and Zach LaVine is better than any of their top two. Both of those individual, I think, are better than Donovan Mitchell. Stat-wise, that was a fact last year.
And Jared Allen? And Darius Garland?
I mean, Darius Garland, yeah, he's good. Again, I think he was like a 20-point.
The Cavs roster is so much deeper than the Bulls. It's not even funny.
It's deeper. It is. But, like, in terms of, like, they're really banking on – because Jared Allen's not a scorer. Like, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland have to show up. But that's 2 6'1" guards. Like, this team, as great as it looks on paper, I think is going to run into a couple just problems, especially playing in East with a lot of bigs, like just very good bigs, big guards. Like that, having 2 just guards that, like, when they switch, they're just problems. That bothers me. That really is something, like, I want to see it to believe it. I think they could go as high as 4-3. I mean, they could be really high up there. It's just I don't like it, especially the way the rest of my just seedings go out.
I mean, the Cavs were like competing for a 4 seed last year. I know they fell off, but
They
like,
got in the play in, yeah, and they even got Karis LeVert back. Like there was no reason for the fall off; they just did because like they have talent, but it's a lot of young talent that's not naturally as consistent. I know what I'm getting from DeRozan and Zach LaVine every night, and the Bulls
so
like
where do you have the Bulls?
I had them at 7. That's what I was saying. I had them
Okay,
right above the
I
Cavs.
missed that. I missed that.
Yeah, I didn't have them way up there. I have Bulls at 7, Cavs at 8, and number 6 I have the Hawks because at the end of the day, the Hawks were a playoff conference finals team against the Bucks with just Trae Young. I think giving him a defensive guard specialist right next to him,
who can also the Hawks finally. I actually like they're probably the third best offseason. I think DeJounte Murray is finally somebody else on that team who can actually like handle the ball and be the ball dominant player on the floor and like allow Trae to hopefully take on maybe more of a Steph role in terms of off ball movement and whatnot. I think that could really elevate his game, but we'll see if they take it that way. The least is you have somebody else who can bring the ball up the floor.
No doubt. Very least. Yeah, that team it looks a lot better. And even then, it's like having them at 6. I was like, it almost feels low. But then, like, there's the rest of like the Eastern Conference. I have the Heat at 5. They just didn't get better. They're old team, so like ultimately, I think that's the fair spot for them. I could see them honestly going even a bit lower, but Celtics, I have to just respect them at this point and keep them at 4. They were in the finals last year. I do expect some fall off, but at the end of the day, they're better than teams I previously listed. Now, this is where I think things get interesting because at full potential, not all the problems, a roster of KD, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons looks interesting. But I'm just like, I'm going to bank more on consistency, which I kind of like to do, which sometimes helps me in picks, sometimes doesn't. I'm going to keep them at 3. I love, as much as I love KD, and I think Kyrie's become underrated at this point when he plays, they got bounced bad by the Celtics last year. And all those internal things going on and whatnot, we have no idea if it's resolved.
I just don't think Ben Simmons answers those problems in the slightest.
Defensively, he does, but like there's already question marks on offense, and I really do question the fit. And he's one of those guys that, like, again, if things aren't going his way, he's going to cause problems. Same as Kyrie. So
and KD.
And KD, like, just plain and simple. It's a lot of personalities to manage, and they just didn't look too good against the Celtics. Like, the only reason they just get the nod is because I'm expecting a lot of improvements and the fact that they know the roster they're going to have this year. They're not halfway through the season. We got to trade Harden and flip half our roster. Like, that's a really big thing for any team and first-year head coach like Steve Nash to overcome. But at 2, then, I'm going to have the 76ers. I mean, I touched on it earlier. We know where they're at. And obviously biased, but like the Milwaukee Bucks, when healthy, are arguably, like, you could argue, would have given the Warriors a fight last year. Just given what the Celtics were able to do. Like, they match up extremely well with everybody. Giannis is he's a tough cover. He's a tough guy to get past. And with the rest of the personnel we added, I think ultimately, like, I like just the fact it's going to sound generic and basic, but a Bucks Warriors finals doesn't seem out of the question to me. I know I'm jumping ahead of the finals prediction, but like, I really think those two teams are going to go. They're going to stay healthy and just be leaps and bounds ahead of everybody this year. I'm thinking like 60 wins plus for both of these teams. That's my take.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. I mean, to bet on anybody to win 60 games that's significant.
Significant, and it's again all banking on health of the core. There's little, injuries here and there. They miss a couple games, all right, but I'll walk that back if I see, like, Middleton already looks like he's out the first couple of weeks. We'll see if that turns out to be any longer. But yeah, that's how I feel. I'm curious to see your seedings though for the East.
Yeah, it's going to be that drastic.
I hope it's not as flagrant as the West, man.
Oh, it's going to be very flagrant.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, it comes down to a core difference in opinion on one team. But okay, at number 8, I have the Bulls. I think they're going to win a playoff game, a play-in game. Sorry.
Right.
We kind of agreed 7-8 here.
Yeah, I'm not pushing back on that.
I think this is fair. It's going to come down to a couple games. They're going to beat somebody to sneak into this 8th spot. Barring injury or whatnot. This was a team that was actually the number 1 seed before they had some significant injuries last year. I don't think that they're going to be good enough to come out of the East. I don't think they're good enough to beat the Bucks or the Sixers or the Nets even for that matter. But or the Heat or the Celtics. You get where I'm going with this. That's why I have them at 8.
Yeah.
So with that being said, at 7, I agree. I have the Hawks here. I agree. It feels low. You had them at 6, I believe. It feels low, but when you look at everybody else, it's like, man, it's going to take a drastic change. And I don't know if DeJounte Murray is a plus 10 win guy. You know what I'm saying? I'd give him 5.
They say that just due to the fact he was on the Spurs.
No, I love DeJounte. Don't get me wrong. I love DeJounte Murray.
So underrated.
I think he's extremely underrated. He was a wagon for me last year in terms of gambling and bets. He was so consistent, whatnot. But I just don't see him giving 10 more wins to the Hawks. To put them in that upper ups. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I love Trae Young. I like watching him play. I'd love to see him take that next step. Don't see it happening this year. I think they're a big man away, a new big man. We can discuss that in a later date, but
for sure.
6, I have the Nets. Internal problems, same thing. I just don't. KD's
as low as that sounds, and I could, if I wanted to, harp on it. I'm not going to, in the sense that I kind of see where you're coming from.
It's just internal issues. You want to talk about is DeJounte Murray 10 wins? Is Ben Simmons that many more wins? No, he's not. No. And I agree with your take that they could be a top 4 seed if Steve Nash figures it out and whatnot. But KD wanted Steve Nash fired this offseason. There's so many issues going on here, and
I think that's as low as you can put them, because I don't think they're a play team. But I would agree, that range of 3 to 6 is even. I think 3 where I put them is the highest.
They also are not going to care about their record in the regular season. They're not.
Agreed. They scream fall in the kind of middle of the East.
They'll care about not being in the play-in, but they're not going to care about being a top seed, and they don't care about home court. They don't care.
All that stuff, doesn't matter. But okay.
5. I already said I was down on this team. I have the Celtics, which is right around where you had them.
I have 4. Yeah.
Yeah. We've already talked about them. I think the coaching issue. I think they're still a solid roster. I think they're still going to win enough games to be a mid-tier team here. 4, I have the Heat. I actually kind of wish I'd put them a little lower, but I don't really like their offseason. I would give their offseason an F. They needed to go out and do something, and they're running it back with a team that they weren't going to beat the Bucks healthy. They almost beat the Celtics, but
Kyle Lowry's going to get worse.
Yeah, they're only getting older. They re-signed Hero for the 6th man, and I like it, but I just think they overpaid a little bit, but they had no other options. And I think 4 seed at best. East Finals is their ceiling again. I just don't see them beating whoever the Bucks or whoever else might be there. Could be wrong. Right. Could eat those words. This could be the year that they finally that Jimmy Butler breaks through, but I don't think it's sure.
I think it would have happened earlier. I really do. I think he's past the prime of his career, and like you said, I think 4 is kind of the ceiling, because honestly, if they get to the conference finals, great. I really think that this might be the year they lose in the divisional round, and people are all right, we need to reset this team.
I agree.
Buy something else. Who's 3?
So this is. I'm going to preface.
Higher with the team, I think. I'm gonna start asking questions for sure.
Oh, you're going to be asking questions. 3. Let me preface this. The threshold between 3 and 4 is way bigger than any other threshold in the West or the East. anywhere else. So my top 3 teams in the East are like within 2 games, 3 games of each other, and probably 3 games separated from the 4.
All right.
So
Yeah.
there's a gap here. Okay. With that being said, I have the Bucks at 3. I fully agree with everything you said. I look, this comes back to the same thing. If the regular season doesn't matter to real contenders, they don't care about the difference between 55 wins and 58 wins. They don't care. So, with that being said, the Bucks are one of my favorite picks to win the Eastern Conference. They are the best team and the team to beat in the East. I don't think they'll be the number 1 seed. If we were to do a power
That's
rankings,
fine.
if we were to do a power rankings, they'd be number 2 in the league.
Yeah. So I mean, okay. Well, all right. Well, we'll have to. Yeah, the finals pick is really gonna be interesting to me because I just can't sit here and tell people that, or even defend the fact that the Cavs are a better team than the Bucks. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying that.
That's blasphemous.
But they could be a better regular season team.
Right. And like if that's what we're going with is like, because if you're really telling me Cavs and T-Wolves are like actually like top contenders,
no. And this goes back to the T-Wolves take too. This is about the regular season. If we were doing power rankings, this is a completely different discussion. I would not rank the T-Wolves number 2 in the West in power rankings. But I'm going on a limb and hot take there. So 2, with that being said, we're going to keep going to the 2. I have the Sixers, which is...
That's fine. I'm over this. Yeah, you got your regular season criteria, and you have this thing that you think that, like the Grizzlies did before the Jazz, like got teams that have young stars and are looking to improve are going. I think I can respect that take and how you're committed to it. I just had to clarify for my own sanity and the listeners that you don't
power rankings and regular season record predictions are not the same thing. I'm just going to clarify that yet again for the viewers here.
Right.
I do not think the Cavs are a better team and have a better chance of winning the championship than the Milwaukee Bucks or the Sixers for that matter. I do, however, think they are a young, talented, deep team with one of the nicest looking young cores in the league. They are no longer a young core team. They are they've made the move to jump to the class of contender, and I think that we will see that jump respected in a 58, 56 to 60 win season that amounts in a conference semifinals loss to the Bucks.
All right. Yeah, no, that's a very accurate prediction and one I'll enjoy hearing. Yeah. That's really all I got to say is like now I understand where you're coming from. Less upset, definitely. I do think I really the Grizzlies not making a playoff.
That's a hot take. That's my hottest.
That's gonna be that's a hot take. And again, we'll see ultimately. But you've kind of dove into how we think the story of the NBA season is going to play out in terms of these teams will have high records but may not go as far as the playoffs. Some will do better due to that, vice versa. Award winners. We'll get the easy one out of the way. Or not to say easy one. The one that everyone looks at, everyone talks about all year long. The MVP.
MVP.
Right. Who do you got? Who's your guy?
I have 2 guys that I really like. I'm going to go on the limb. I'm going to take Embiid. I think he's due. That's kind of how this award works a little bit. Like, if somebody's really close one year and then they don't get it, and they're not going to give it to Jokic for a 3rd time in a row because there's always voter fatigue with this. I think Embiid's due, and as stupid as it is, last season is going to count towards his reputation to win it this year.
That's a fair shake on it, and I'm not going to say Embiid's a bad choice, but I do think it will go to Luka, and it's for granted both these guys in terms of like talent, what they bring to their teams. Like it's 1A and 1B. You could argue for either guy. Like they're top of the NBA in terms of ability, talent wise. It's just the fact that Now Embiid has to play next to Harden for an entire year. I think naturally that will bring his numbers down a bit. It's because he's not going to do as much. Doesn't have to. Doesn't make him a worse player. It's just his stats aren't going to be as great as they were last year. And like we brought up earlier, the Mavericks definitely like they got worse. They lost Jalen Brunson.
I just
as much as the Knicks overpaid for him. That was a 20 points per game that now is going to have to be made up. And I have a feeling probably 10 of that's going to go to Luka. I don't know if the Mavericks are going to be a better team this year. I just think Luka's stats are probably going to be nuts.
Here's my problem with picking Luka is to win the MVP. There are exceptions to this. Jokic was an exception, but you generally have to be a top 3 or 4 team in your respective conference. Like generally speaking, like that's fair, and that's why
I'm going off that.
Yeah, you're going off that, which is fair if you think they take the leap. He'd have to average like 37 points, which is actually possible. But it'd have to be a ludicrous thing where it's like, okay, how do we not give it to this guy? Like he's shattering scoring records while getting X amount of triple doubles and averaging 8 assists and however many rebounds. Like, yes, it's clear cut. But I'm just going to play it safe. Like I said, I played it safe and took the guy on the team, the best player on the team. I think is going to win more games. Steph was my secondary pick, but for the exact same reasons.
All right, no, I can respect that. And personally, I know you're like, he has to average 37. I think he's definitely over 30 this year.
Oh yeah, that's not a debate or a hot take.
It might be close, and that's what I'm. It's out of limb. If they get that 4 seed, he puts up those type of numbers. I do think he gets the crown. But you mentioned there is depends, I guess, how much of an uphill battle people view that as.
Yeah,
and we both agree Sixers aren't going to be up there this year. So yeah, Embiid definitely solid. In terms of 6th man, I know that's kind of a completely different direction because that's really all stats.
I'll go first here, and this is why I didn't take Steph. I'm going to take Jordan Poole.
Yeah,
I think he's the odds favorite, which is I hate doing that, but there's really not many better 6 men out there. You could maybe make an argument for Westbrook if he like completely accepts this role and makes a complete turnaround in his time in LA, but I don't see that happening in a million years. So yeah, I'm taking Jordan Poole.
Yeah, and that's honestly, it's like you said, he's betting favorite, and honestly, the guy I'm going with is pretty much a Jordan Poole archetype. I mean, Tyler Hero got paid for doing his 6-man work. I think ultimately because he's like Westbrook still needs to accept the role I believe Tyler Hero has. I'm hoping they use him more in like a Jamal Crawford, like Lou Williams capacity of like he gets like 30 minutes plus a game. And just due to that fact, if he stays on the bench as a 6th man all year long, I would see him winning it. I could also see the case that Kyle Lowry and they don't have any other guards. They play bad at guard. He gets forced in there. It's just I just think due to opportunity, he's gonna have higher numbers. Jordan Poole's behind Steph and Clay. Like we saw him perform, we saw him do his thing. So it's not like it's a bad pick. I just like I'm going. With
I don't think Hero's a bad pick either. Like I think
it's going with like where I think the most opportunity lies, and if those players are going to take advantage of it, I think Luka will. I think Tyler Hero will.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
That's fair. How about your defensive player of the year?
As easy as it would be to just say Gobert, I think he's won it so many times that it's like if it's, I'll just say it this way: if it's not Gobert, I'll go with Bam Adebayo. Just I know I'm kind of going on like a heat kick here, but he's shown that ability. I think at the end of the day, the East has gotten a lot better. So I think a lot of those games are going to be televised more. I really think Bam's going to shine. That's just my 2 cents. I think he's gotten kind of criminally underlooked as a defender.
Have to agree.
Yeah, it's
He
and
was
it's
my
really
second pick.
yeah, and it's kind of like a hype based thing. And so like if people kind of see him, doing work down low, like just keeping that Heat team afloat alongside Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, really, uh,
Though the Heat
it
are
will
really
bode well.
bad without Adebayo on the floor. That was very evident last year.
Right. I think it will bode well for him in terms of voters' minds. Because I think, quite frankly, like people kind of saw in the playoffs, and whatnot. Like, yeah, Marcus Smart is a great defender, but like defense player of the year, it's very hard to get that as a guard, just because you can lock down one guy, but like we're talking usually the defense player, your bigs can lock down the entire paint. They can every time they switch, they're a threat. When I look at Bam, it's like you switch him on a guard, you're not really that worried, and that's really the only knock on Gobert. But I'm like he gets kind of every year, so if it's not Rudy Gobert, I'd go with him. But I'm curious as to who you're going to say.
Um, so I'll say this: I really like Rob Williams as a pick, but he's hurt, so I feel like that sets him back. He's kind of a sleeper pick, but I don't think he can win it because he's going to miss these games. And going with the T Wolves being the 2 seed, I think it's only right that I have to take Rudy Gobert here, because I
That's
think
fair.
that's what propels them to the 2 seed is their stout defense led by Rudy Gobert. So I
Yeah,
know it's another odds-on favorite, but maybe not quite the odds-on favorite, but I have to, stay loyal to myself here and honor, how I think the season's going to go.
for
So,
sure. Yeah, and
um,
his sake, I mean, like he's that guy. Like I even said before my take, if it's not Rudy Gobert, fully anticipating that if there's a guy that's gonna like repeat and get it again, it's gonna be him. Due to that fact you mentioned, like there's gonna be all the eyes on the Timberwolves and their defense now. It's like, well, they got Rudy Gobert, they got the Twin Towers with Cat. He's gonna get all the narrative and stories he'll need. All he has to do is just average like 2 blocks and do his thing. So
yeah,
that's definitely, I mean, I would say, yeah, a very solid and probably the most, I would say, predictable award pick this year. I think MVPs, honestly, could be a more interesting race than people give it credit for. Um,
I have to agree. How about your rookie of the year? This one's a little interesting.
it is interesting. It is. And there's some names that come to mind. I do just want to, because initially, if he didn't get hurt, it would be Chet for sure. Because I think if Chet was playing with the Thunder roster, they could even be like a sleeper playing team. But now he's not. It's like they're probably still in the same mindset.
No, they're getting Victor.
Oh yeah, Wembanyama. Oh man, yeah. If they pull that off, it's gonna be nuts. But in terms of just rookie of the year for this year, it sounds so bland, but like I see Paulo doing well. I see him probably having the highest numbers of the prospects. Jabari Smith, I mean, is decent, like all right. Keegan Murray, I could see potential, but I still think like Sabonis is going to get the most time down low.
I have a little bit of a sleeper pick here.
Yeah, yeah,
I am taking Jaden Ivey.
Pistons, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think that there's just enough. There's enough. I think he's an athletic freak. He's just a good all around player. Uber athletic, and I think there's enough lack of scoring and ability in Detroit that I think he could take on a pretty decent role pretty early. And I know it's a sleeper pick, but I could see it panning out well, and he averages the most points out of any rookie. But yeah, I think that you're going with Paulo. I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think that's the safe, right, correct pick. So yeah,
no. And listen,
it's not like this is a weird year with the rookies. It's not like you have a clear cut like, oh, Zion's going to win Rookie of the Year. Like,
yeah, it seems like Paolo's best player, but like there's situations like you mentioned with like Jaden Ivey. If like Sabonis, goes down or like they find
yeah.
time in Murray, like there's some guys that could sneak away with it. But no, I think Jaden Ivey honestly could become that next scorer that, they got Kate Cunningham. Now they get Jaden Ivey. I mean, Detroit may do some interesting things next year. I don't think they're gonna do many things. Um, so in terms of like what we got left, so we still got to crown our coach of the year.
Coach of the
And,
year, most improved player, and comeback player of the year.
okay, so yeah, if we're going with coach of the year, yeah, I'm looking at my regular season, predictions. I think he's gonna go Steve Kerr. I I know I mentioned obviously tonight, like, oh, we're gonna see the questions marks with like Draymond Green and whatnot. But like at the end of the day, the Warriors are just, it seems like 2 steps ahead of everybody. And I think they could have like an eye-opening 60-plus win season again, this like crazy good season. Because Klay Thompson came back like mid-year, like he's gonna be healthy all year long. That's automatically gonna add more twins to an already stacked team. And so yeah, it's again, I know it seems kind of like again the Apollo thing, and now Steve Kerr, like I'm just going with the favorites, but that's just how I see the season playing out. I know there's a lot of names though that could be thrown out there. I know like Chris Finch would be a good one.
That's what I'm taking.
I kind of
It's littered throughout all my picks. I think the T-Wolves are going to have a good year, and I'm kind of going all in a little bit here as I'm at the poker table. Like I'm kind of saying, okay, Gobert's going to win DPOY, and Finch. If they do get the 2 seed, I find it really hard to believe that voters will not take Chris Finch as their coach of the year at that point, because that's just such a drastic improvement. So that's my pick. Riding loyal to myself. We're riding with the T-Wolves, riding with the Indianapolis Colts. We like the underdog here.
Go either Chris Finch or JB Bickerstaff based off your standings.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption.
Yeah,
I'll get this out of the way too. I'm taking Anthony Edwards for most improved player.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Which is not a bad like that. I would take that even if I had them as the 6th seed. I think that's still a pretty good pick. Of all the Timberwolf picks I've taken, I think that's the safest. Well, not the safest. I'd say Gobert's the safest, but I think it's a really solid pick, and I wouldn't be shocked if you took him too. But yeah,
I was thinking about it. I really was, but also because of how good again that team is. Cat's gonna look key in more on scoring. You already got D'Lo. I'm looking at some teams that, well, put it just, bluntly, they stink. One of the teams that stands out, they stink, is a team that stunk for a long time, and that's the New York Knicks. And they just gave a guy a lot of money to pretty much run their offense and give him the ball and say, let's see what happens. Jalen Brunson looked great running next to Luka Doncic and getting 20. Who's to say if he just gets the reins, he doesn't go, I'm not saying he's Trae Young, but if he gets that volume and whatnot, who's to say he's not getting close to 30? The only reason you have a 6'1" guard on the floor is to score. And so if he gets the numbers, he gets that huge leap in the scoring market. That's kind of how Ja got it last year. You would have given it to Poole, though, if it wasn't for Ja because of, again, the scoring leap he made. So that's why if I'm just looking at that award, granted, if Anthony Edwards goes out and hits his ceiling, he's averaging 30. So yeah, then this take has no relevance. But
no, I think it's a solid take. He had
this potential, and because D'Lo's on the roster and Cat's averaging his 30, and only gets 22, 23, which is still a great season, but it may not have the numbers and volume. Definitely, he's probably not going to be very efficient, especially playing for the Knicks. And Thibs is a defensive-minded coach, but I'm going to hang my hat on Jalen Brunson, and probably the only thing I'm going to bet on the Knicks this year. If we're being completely honest.
Yeah, we'll have to do a deep dive into what happened to the Knicks. Because
they were fine like 2 years ago.
They were supposed to be good, and then Randall just forgot how to play ball. But all right, last one. I think this is kind of a shoe-in, assuming he stays healthy. Comeback player of the year. I have Zion. Have anything different?
Just Kawhi.
All right, that's fair.
I know you say Zion's a shoe-in, and that's fair. But also if Kawhi comes back and leads Clippers to, I have the Clippers making the playoffs and Pelicans not. I know even that might be a little bit of a hot take. I just think if the Western Conference is this crowded, it may not be the Pelicans are bad. It's just they get forced out. And yeah, I'm just gonna roll with that. Is that Kawhi just has a more impactful season? He may not have me as good of numbers as Zion, but he might just have the narrative, in my opinion, playing in LA, being the face of an LA franchise, and people like fun guy. So like, you can't
Solid
really
pick. Solid pick.
Yeah, it's the credentials are all there.
All
But
right.
that's it for our predictions. I mean,
yeah. Well, we got the finals.
Oh yeah. I mean, I got Bucks over Warriors. I know I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I have. I'm going to change it up. I had Warriors over Bucks. I'm going to go Warriors over Sixers, just to be a little different here. So we don't have the exact same matchup here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw this out there, just put it on the record. My top 4 teams, 2 for each side. I think it's going to be Warriors and Nuggets, Bucks and Sixers. And I'm not like I'm taking Warriors over Sixers, but yeah, I made that clear. I originally had the Bucks in there, but
gotta be a 6. I think the Warriors win. I think they would outshoot them and whatnot. I just think the Bucks, like that's a defensive problem. Like really for a lot of areas, like Holiday on Curry is problematic. Giannis on whoever, and then them trying to guard him is problematic. But even like with the Sixers, like Embiid would be a problem. It's just Harden doesn't really scare me defensively, and Tyrese Maxey's not a defensive guy. So the Warriors would still do their thing. So like if your finals matchup like turns out to be the case, I would side with the Warriors as well. Is basically what I'm saying. I'm gonna be a Bucks stan, especially when this team is arguably the best team in the league.
At least you know it.
Yeah, it's right. It's like I know I'm going to be high on them, but the fact of the matter is a lot of people are too. Like they all have them up there, and it's not like with the Packers I'm trying to manifest like, oh well, in theory at their full potential and like they could be the best team. I'm not going to do that. But the Bucks, it's like they got the roster to just keep rolling through the entire NBA. Really, yeah. I mean, Giannis, the generational talent. But yeah, so that will do our predictions and whatnot for the start of the NBA season tonight. So I can't be more excited for. Oh my gosh.
So, all right. We kind of went through my hot takes, and we'll close with this. Oh, no, actually, we got to go better or worse a little bit too. But do you have any outstanding hot takes that we haven't really covered?
I really think it's just my Lakers, just where I have them, is probably a hot take. And yeah, I don't, at this moment, have anything kind of too crazy in mind. I think there's a lot of just ultimately just change and whatnot this year. Yeah, the Timberwolves aren't as, like, I don't think there's a lot of question marks because of how much youth on that team. But it's, the thing is, it's just like we saw a lot of these young teams that had question marks last year kind of get some veteran help. See Cavs, Timberwolves, Hawks. So like, I don't really have a lot to say. I mean, honestly, we kind of got some of our hot takes out of the way. I think we might end up having a couple more with the better or worse segment, but I know it's probably getting close to game time, so I figured I think we'll do this. We'll each pick a player from both games tonight.
Okay.
Kind of like better or worse. All right.
All right.
So, first, because I got to know for my own, I have very high regards for Jaylen Brown. But I want to see where you hold him.
Oh, you're not going to like that. You're not
going
to like this.
Better or worse, Jason Tatum?
Better.
Oh, really? You think Jaylen Brown's better than Jason
Tatum?
Oh,
no, Jason Tatum is better than Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
Tatum. Look, they're on the same team. Tatum is the guy they go to. I think Brown is really underrated. I just think the only the only thing that holds Brown back, in my opinion, he can get really sloppy, and we saw this in the finals. He gets really sloppy with the basketball, and he's very turnover happy at times. And I think that he's a good defender. He's a great scorer. He could be a superstar on any other team. He is a superstar, in my opinion, on the Celtics. But he's 1B, so how can I put him over 1A?
And I'm glad we agree with that because, hey, you talk to some of those defensive guys, old heads of the world, they like to tell it's Jaylen Brown's better. And again, it's close, like you brought up, but just want to get that out of the way real quick. Jaylen Brown, so you said Jason Tatum is better. How do you feel about DeJounte Murray?
Jaylen Brown's better.
For sure. And yeah, that's all right. Getting the gauge here. Jaylen Brown compared to Donovan Mitchell.
Jaylen Brown. Mitchell could take a huge leap forward this year, but it hasn't happened yet because it's day one. So right now, Jaylen Brown. But duly noted, with Mitchell, if he steps up as the guy in Cleveland.
For sure. Jaylen Brown or DeMar DeRozan?
For what?
Player. Overall, who would you rather have in your team right now?
Right now, Jaylen Brown, but part of that's because he's younger. So if we were playing one game,
DeRozan.
Probably go DeRozan. He's going to take care of the ball better. He's going to be consistent. He's going to know his role a little better.
For sure. I'll give you two more, just for my own sake. I really want to see where the Jason Tatum, or not Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown ranking is. Trae Young.
I got to take Trae. I got to take Trae here.
Yep.
He's in a Damian Lillard class where he's been willing the Hawks to the playoffs the past couple of years, and I think he set the record for efficiency last year. I don't remember the exact analytics.
Offensively, he is kind of insane.
Really Brown's by far the better defender. Trae lacks on defense, but if somebody's going to give you 27, on a bad night, it's kind of hard not to take him.
No, very true. Very true. My last question, again, another very weird one, but I think it's got to be – it'll kind of tell me where you rank Chris Paul compared to Jaylen Brown. Very apples and oranges, but I've seen some wild takes about how good Chris Paul is, but I'm curious. Do you think is he better or worse than Jason Tatum?
I think here's weird. Chris Paul is overrated, but also overhated. There's two sides to it.
Agreed.
Where there's this one side that puts him he's better than Steph. He's a better point guard than Steph. He's a better true point guard. What does that even mean? No, he's not. Right. Yeah. Then there's the other side where it's Chris Paul is the most overrated player of all time. I hate that guy. I'm right in the middle here. Right where my head actually is. That's kind of where I'm at. I think he was underappreciated in LA, overappreciated in Phoenix so far, but he did get them to the finals and he elevated them as a veteran. So I see the appreciation. With that being said, if we're rolling it out, if I'm drafting a team, this gets down into such personal bias. This is a tough one. I'm going to go Jaylen Brown for the scoring and the defense, but I could actually see if you want a facilitator, I could see you taking Chris Paul.
Respectable. Yeah, because honestly, I've said that because I'm not even sure where I fall with that.
It's two very different styles of play. So, it comes really down. Chris Paul is going to take care of the ball, play average defense, and really distribute very well, better than almost anybody ever. Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, is going to play great defense, maybe be a little bit sloppy, but he's also going to score 8 more points than Paul probably. So, I don't know. I'll go Brown for the defense.
Yeah, I respect that. Who you got? Who's your guy that's going to be on the hot seat?
I'm going to put you on the hot seat here, and I'm torn between two guys here. But I'm going to say you showed a little love to this guy, and I kind of want to see where you have him. So we're going to go with DeJounte Murray. Mm-hmm. Okay. So straight out the gate, Trey Young or DeJounte Murray.
Oh, Trey.
Okay, I figured. I just wanted to. I'll flip it right back. Jaylen Brown or DeJounte Murray.
Jaylen Brown is better.
Okay.
I think DeJounte Murray's like at his full potential to be Jaylen Brown.
Okay. D'Angelo Russell or DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, see, that's. I know some people are gonna. Oh, Devo. No. I really think the things DeJounte Murray provides, not only playmaking but defensively, big, like can lock guys down, Drew Holiday-esque. That's why I don't like him over D'Angelo Russell.
Okay. I'm going to start to get a little harder. Kyrie Irving or DeJounte Murray?
When healthy and playing the game of basketball, it's Kyrie Irving. And that is just
no but. There's no but. Oh, I thought
there really is no but. I think he's just underrated at this point, and like he's more top echelon of point guards when he's playing than like this middle of the pack, in my opinion.
Damian Lillard or DeJounte Murray?
Damian Lillard.
All right.
And it's again, he's improving, but I'm not going to discredit Dame. I'm not. He keeps that Trailblazers team relevant. We saw last year when he wasn't playing.
How about Anthony Edwards?
Right now, without seeing Anthony Edwards' improvement going into this season, it will be DeJounte Murray. Because at the end of the day, I think you flip those guys. You could argue that the Timberwolves right now are more of a contender. They are more ready to contend. But we have to see how Anthony Edwards plays this season. That's the bottom line. But right now, I like DeJounte Murray more.
I have to disagree, but all right.
I know you're going to disagree.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I'm very high on the T-Wolves. I'm very high on the T-Wolves this year. Shoot, I had his name and now I'm blanking. Let's go. You know what? You've shown love here. DeMar DeRozan.
See, I can't, as much as I love DeJounte Murray and what he does, and the fact like DeRozan has holes in his game, he's a star for me, like a true. DeJounte Murray's a star, but like DeRozan made the Bulls pretty great, and he did what LaVine really couldn't do on his own. So I got to go with DeRozan.
How about LaVine?
That's where things get tricky, and I think right now, because I think I would get my head kind of chomped off if I said DeJounte Murray from numerous people. I'm giving it to Zach for the reason that, like, again,
really?
right now, it's kind of like the reverse Anthony Edwards situation.
Okay.
Right now, Zach LaVine, like, going into the season is, like, the better player. I don't think that will be the case by the end of the season. I think people are going to have a different view just due to DeJounte Murray's impact.
I got 3 more for you.
Okay.
We'll stay with the Bulls for this one. Lonzo Ball.
No.
Okay.
Just no. And I don't know if he's going to play this year, but DeJounte Murray, Lonzo wishes he could be DeJounte Murray. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Devin Booker.
Devin Booker. And, he's so much better of a scorer. It's hard for me to defend him against DeJounte Murray.
Last guy. Actually, I got 2 more. I just thought of another one. De'Aaron Fox.
Nah, yeah. It's De'Aaron Fox. Granted, it's not like he had way more to work with the Kings, but he's been in the league. He's been in that limelight a little bit longer. I think we've kind of seen almost his ceiling, I want to say. And,
all right.
DeJounte Murray's still going.
Last guy, Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh. That's a really interesting one. And, oh, man. Just because he's so young, I'm not going to take Tyrese right now. But, like, that's kind of like similar players. I mean, big guards.
Yeah, he's good. They're very similar.
Yeah, I'm going to go with DeJounte Murray, but that's a close one for me.
All right.
That I could really argue both sides, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, that's about all we got. for this bonus episode, NBA Tuesday. Any more hot takes on the way out?
If you don't mind, I want to do better or worse for Russell Westbrook.
I do not mind. I
Or,
will.
or
I will.
let's do it quick because I know the game's starting. I'll just rattle off a couple players and see where you rank them. All right.
All right.
D'Angelo Russell, better or worse than Russ?
Oh gosh, Russ is going to be so hard. I'm going to get so much hate for this because I'm one of the few guys who still defends him.
Oh man,
Um,
yeah, this could be interesting.
is this Russ on the Lakers or like?
This is Russ going into this season. Like you saw last season, Russ right now at this
Because
point.
I no, but like I still feel like if Russ went to like the Rockets or a bad team like the or something, he could like average a triple double again. Like I could see, like I still think he has that in him if he's around a bunch of scrubs. He just
It'd
doesn't know how
be
to fit in with any other stars.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be inefficient, like
Oh
in terms
yeah,
of, like value in the NBA right
I
now.
think he's one of the most overhated players in the NBA.
Oh yeah, I think you're probably spot on with that actually.
Like, why do we not appreciate this guy? He did something that nobody had done since Oscar Robertson. Like, he's gonna be if he should be a Hall of Famer. If he's not, I'm gonna have a problem with that. Um, he's the all-time leader in triple doubles, is he not? Like, how do you not go to the Hall of Fame at that point? Um,
Yeah, I'll like he's gonna probably make the Hall of Fame. It's just like at this point in his career, given what the way the league's transitioning, three balls and whatnot.
no, at this
Like
point in his career, I'm taking D'Angelo Russell. Okay,
that's nice to hear. Okay, cool. We'll see how low I can get this bar. Lonzo Ball. We'll throw that one in there.
Westbrook.
You want Westbrook over Lonzo Ball?
Yes.
All right.
If you
Tyrese
say
Maxey.
Maxi, by
Okay.
far.
All right. Yeah. I kind of want to go like some younger names here, to be honest with you, just kind of see where the gauge is at. Yeah, no, Jamal Murray, that's an easy one. Nah, this might be disrespectful.
Oh gosh.
Jordan Clarkson.
That is so disrespectful. That what is he still with the Jazz?
Yeah.
That's so disrespectful. Westbrook.
Did more stat wise efficiency than Russ last year though.
Hey, no, I'll take Westbrook.
All right.
And look, I understand. Like I actually understand. Like he looked horrible last year. He was the worst starting point guard in the league, honestly. But I just think that people grossly underestimate like how much this system is like restricting the way he's like the people have ways they play, and to be a ball dominant point guard with LeBron is just like not a recipe for success.
No, it's definitely a tough sell. It is. I got two more names. I did. John Wall's the first one.
Wall
Is better.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think this season, especially.
Although he is coming off injury.
He is, but even just like what I've seen in the preseason, he's still got a lot of that speed, and he's always been a better jump shooter than Westbrook. Not a great one.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
they're both not good jump shooters.
He'll at least knock it down a little bit.
I think John Wall is pretty underappreciated for most of his career.
Yeah, he's always underappreciated, and especially I feel like among this generation, like it's gonna be good to see him back, no doubt. And my last one, Pat Bev.
Oh God, I hate Patrick Beverly too, and I have to say him because he's starting over him.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's hard not to see. As much as I despise Patrick Beverly, it's hard not to see the impact he brings. I think he's a terrible defender. He's a hack. I don't understand all the hype. He literally just fouls people, and it gets his team in trouble sometimes. But he does bring an energy and a juice that Russ actually used to have that clearly is not evident right now, and that's the question. So it's got to be Beverly. He's starting over him. So
cool. No, I was gonna be intrigued if you said. I mean, you could say the other way. Like, there's people are probably gonna defend that, but you'd have to fight Ronnie 2K on that one. And honestly, the Lakers head coach. So, Yeah, I think that'll
I
do
think
it.
honestly,
For,
I think bringing Russ off the bench and keeping him off the floor with LeBron is like probably they should have done that last year. Because if he
it's
can
the
just
best solution. It
yeah,
really
if
is.
he can come in and just play his Thunder, 2018 Thunder ball and just go get numbers, and while Braun takes a spell, like I think we're going to see somewhat of a what's the opposite of a regression? A progression from last year for Russ
Yeah,
in his
bit of a
Lakers
rebound
situation. Yeah,
for sure.
if he's allowed to dominate the ball, but yeah,
I think
I think that
it's really
wraps it
funny
up.
though. Yeah, I don't just got to throw this last dig in here. I have to. It's funny now. You can be like, "Oh, Russ sucks," and not know which one. Like it could, you would be like, "Oh, Russ
Hey!
was
It's NBA
terrible last
Tuesday.
night," and
It's
nobody
NBA
knows who we're
Tuesday.
talking.
It's NBA Tuesday. We'll get to the ramen noodles tomorrow. We'll get there tomorrow.
Guys,
But yeah, as always, appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We're on all platforms at this point, pushing out content to you guys. So yeah, this is always fun. It's always fun to sit and talk. We're looking forward to the NBA season. Looking forward to well, in my opinion, my favorite part of the NBA season is player props and making some money. But
oh yeah.
that's not advice, but yeah. Any closing statements, closing thoughts?
Just excited to see some basketball. That really, that we say, matters. I get the regular season is as important as it is in tune like NFL, but yeah, closing thoughts. Got some great matchups tonight. Gonna go watch and suggest everyone else to, because usually, and honestly, going forward, like the televised games, if you will, for the NBA are usually very good matchups to watch. Like
Yeah,
the league as a whole is very deep now. It's not just Showtime Lakers, best teams play whoever. It's you're getting great matchups every night.
I
So
have to agree.
encourage people, watch the NBA, watch your sports, because it's a good time.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
good
pretty good. There's best parity in the league right now, than there has
really
been
both
a long
both
time.
leagues. Both
Both
leagues.
leagues. That's fair. That's fair.
It's
But
so great.
yeah,
That's all I got. And yeah, I'm ready to go.
yeah,
Sit back, watch some hoops, man.
yeah. As always, have a great day, guys, and thanks for listening.
Yep.
Peace out.
Adios.